I would like to invite Mr. Anish Achyutan, the co-founder of Open Financial Technologies, onto the stage. And Open is, come Anish. Open is a very interesting company because Open is the first unicorn company of Kerala. There is a reason why Open has come to Kerala. We'll talk about all that in the session. But a unicorn company, for people who doesn't know, a unicorn company is a company with a valuation more than $1 billion. $1 billion will be around 8,600 crores. So the valuation of Anish's company is more than 8,600 crores, and Open is still the only unicorn that we have out of Kerala. So we would like to hear from Anish about his insights on how he started, what is it that we should be looking at, what are the various ways in which you'll be able to pitch, find funding, etc., etc. Anish, please, I welcome you onto the stage.
Good afternoon, esteemed guests, investors, and fellow entrepreneurs. So it's a privilege for me to stand before you today at the Global Investor Summit. Now, around 25 years back, when I started my startup journey from a small town in Kerala called Perindalmanna, the startup ecosystem was not developed. There was no accelerators, there was no incubators, there was no angel investors. Now, when you look back at 25 years from now, we look at 2025 now, we have over close to 7,000 startups. We have a good ecosystem of accelerators, investors. We have a community of student entrepreneurship networks over here. And probably as Anup mentioned, even in Open's journey to become a $1 billion startup, the first breakthrough came from the fund of funds from the Kerala Startup Mission. It is actually one of the first institutional investor that came on board for Open was Unicorn India Ventures, which is actually a fund of funds from the Kerala Startup Mission. So that's where we stand right now in terms of, personally, that's why this becomes I'd seen the entire journey as a struggling entrepreneur and how the ecosystem has really benefited me. And I feel today we have a lot more innovative startups across different parts of this country, from Gen Robotics to CareStack to even startups working on healthcare and AI, which is now making a lot of impact outside. Now, let's look at what's really working for Kerala. The first thing is I think the government support and the incubation ecosystem, and especially the team led by Anup, and especially in the last 10 years, the Kerala Startup Mission is one of the globally recognized startup incubator that has played a crucial role in enabling this ecosystem. The second part is the Kerala's digital and tech talent with high literacy rates, strong STEM education, and the digitally connected population makes Kerala a prime location for startups. Also, Kerala has been the forefront of early digital adoption. I remember, 1997 is the first time that I got introduced to internet, where I got fascinated by creating my first email address. But at that time, I had to travel 90 kilometers to access an internet cafe. But in Kerala, we had always seen the adoption of generally as a community or as a society, we are always been in the forefront of adopting newer technologies as well as adopting digitalization. Now, we also have a lot of thriving startups in thriving sectors like AI, robotics, automation, and healthcare, etc. So these are some of the positive things that we have for our ecosystem. Now, what are the biggest challenges that we face? While there are a lot of positive things that we have got the infrastructure and the ecosystem, the key challenges are many of these Kerala startups has got great products, but when it comes to international expansion, many of these startups struggle primarily in terms of getting access to the global VC network, event partnerships in regulatory compliances, etc. And also, the Kerala startup funding still relies heavily a lot on government-supported initiatives, unlike the the peer markets like, say, Bangalore, Delhi, or Mumbai. We also need more and more venture capitalists, angel investors, as well as strategic corporate-backed investments in our state. Also, the industry-academia gap. So while I'm mentioning this as a challenge, the good part is that okay, we have got a good community of students and the academia getting involved in the startups. We have, again, thanks to the efforts of the Kerala Startup Mission. At the same time, can we take it further? Because the bigger challenge most of the times like a startup faces is in terms of getting the right skills that is actually required for a startup. While the education curriculum keeps on improving year on year, when it really comes to a product tech company, when I have to actually hire a product marketer or a growth marketer, or even while things are getting changed with AI and other things, the bigger challenge we always face is that, okay, when getting that right experience and the skill set, we still have to look at for the cities, even though we have the better talent over here. So how can we actually incorporate some of these things could actually make a lot of these changes, and that's where universities and startups have much more bigger roles here to play. Now, when it looks, now let's look at what are the future opportunities. Is there specific segments that probably where which we can really focus on in driving the startup ecosystem? And I think the first thing I would actually talk about is the AI as a industry vertical. While on the building fundamental elements, etc., probably while those are things where probably it may take some more time, or but there are other opportunities, because the entire software as a SaaS business, which we all see today, everyone will get disrupted by vertical AI or agentic-led AI softwares, your accounting software, your internet banking interface, your consumer applications, etc. And these are the areas where with our talent of the colleges and the brilliant minds over here, there's a lot of opportunities to build for markets outside India. I'll just talk about some of the things for example, if you really look at some of the billion-dollar startups working on vertical AI in the US markets like Glean, etc., all of them are actually trying to disrupt the enterprise workspace solutions, etc. But many times, India and Kerala has an edge in terms of offering a cost advantage, like the way the SaaS companies based out of Tamil Nadu, like the Zohos and the Freshdesk, actually use the opportunities where companies like Zendesk and Salesforce actually used to conquer the market, but they have the quality as well as the price advantage. So similarly, in terms of on the AI, vertical AI as a domain, there is a lot of opportunities. Second thing is the health tech, Ayurveda, and biotech. Kerala is the birthplace of Ayurveda, and now with newer technologies and research centers available, there is a lot more potential for us to build solutions on top of it and take it to the world. Very recently, one of the startups from a small town called Kannur, which is called Curate.health, was invited by AWS into the US where they have actually combined AI and Ayurveda to work on gut health management, reversal of diabetics and PCOD, etc. Similarly, we have a lot of research centers that is available today in the space of biotech and etc. So can we, this brings a lot of opportunities for newer entrepreneurs as well as the ecosystem to build solutions on that space. The other thing is on the food tech and the direct-to-consumer space, there is a lot of unique food variants or products that can be built or innovated out of Kerala. And we are seeing a lot of smaller startups which is actually working on creating D2C brands out of it. Very recently, I came across a brand called Fulva, which is actually packaging this halwa into this thing. I also not able to recollect the name, but there is a startup which packs seafood-based foods and then selling it to the outside markets. At the same time, on the retail side of it as well, there is enough opportunities for entrepreneurs to create products that can take global. Again, from a small town, there is a brand called Mousy, which actually took this a simple localized dish called an avil milk, and they expanded to around 60 outlets in multiple countries just in 3-4 years, basically. Which means, like, a lot of, because many times, like, for a lot of entrepreneurs, a startup is always only about a tech-led or it has to be done with AI, but there are like a lot of like brilliant minds here in our state where they can, if we given them the right opportunities, they can actually take some of this innovation even on non-tech related services and build global brands or like global brands. Even on the agri-tech and the sustainable farming, especially now with AI coming in and combining, and with again our resources that we have, there is like opportunities. Again, robotics and automation are another areas. We have companies like Gen Robotics over here, and especially if there is a company which raises a Series B funding or gets a lot of branding, it should actually create an ecosystem for creating peer startups, basically, which works in Philly. It should be an inspiration for either people, who had worked in the startups to start up new things in the robotics, or it should inspire others, basically. So this is the way in which, like, if you look at certain specific industrial pockets where they are known for a particular product. Why is Chennai known for the SaaS startup capital of India, right? Similarly, like, specific areas like on the robotics and automotive side. And I keep seeing a lot of startups that is actually working on the automotive space, especially from the Kerala. And then we have like a good set of like, mechanical engineering resources and colleges, again, that can be used. Now, in terms of, all of these things, while I mentioned this multiple times, I feel like, while the government, the Kerala Startup Mission, the, investor ecosystem, everybody is actually working towards it. Universities also has a role to play. At the same time, we also as an ecosystem together need to look at, like, how do we actually bring in the larger private equity funds to the state, the venture capitalist funds to the state? How can we bring in strategic investors primarily? Because there are like as the world is changing today with the disruption being happening on areas like AI and all, most of the larger organizations are also looking for partnerships, either through strategic investments or through incubation, where they can also launch newer. They can also launch the services to stay competitive or stay relevant in the market. On a ending note, to summarize some of this thing, Kerala has everything it takes to become a global startup hub. Especially areas like AI, health, D2C, robotics, and agri-tech are few of the areas where we could actually focus on. The startups, investors, and policymakers must work together to scale the Kerala startups internationally. Kerala has always moved forward together, from the backwaters to the boardrooms, from classrooms to co-working spaces. Kerala has the talent, the vision, and the momentum. So let's make it happen together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anish Achyutan, for delivering the keynote address in this panel discussion, in this session on nurturing the future of startups and innovation. And I'd like you to take a seat on the stage. I'd like to bring back on stage a moderator who opened this session, Sri Anup Ambika, Chief Executive Officer of Kerala Startup Mission. He's a seasoned entrepreneur and technology enthusiast, and someone who, in the capacity of the CEO of KSM, has been pivotal in enhancing Kerala's startup ecosystem to best performer status in the country itself. Welcome back, Shri Anup Ambika, and joining him on stage, the rest of our panelists, starting with the very admired Shri Sam Santosh, Managing Trustee of Sai Genome Research Foundation, an entrepreneur with more than 35 years of track record, and the first 20 years spent in IT and then into what we call the genomic revolution in the country, often called the genome man in India. Welcome on stage, Mr. Sam Santosh. Bringing on stage next, Mr. Babu Shivadasan, Chief Executive Officer of Jiffy.ai. Welcome on stage, sir. He's the CEO of Jiffy.ai, a pioneering AI-powered automation platform that enables enterprises to create intelligent applications. Welcome, sir. Joining them, Mr. John Southwell. He's a Senior Trade and Investment Commissioner from Australia. Welcome on stage, sir. He's heading Australia's trade-focused team across agri-food, education, defense, and advanced manufacturing. Welcome. Joining them, Ms. Suja Chandy, Chief Sustainability Officer of Zafin Global and Managing Director of Zafin India. She's a global leader in SaaS-based enterprise product and pricing solutions for the banking sector. And previously, she was also the Managing Director of Nissan Digital India LLP. And finally, probably the junior in the panel, but the very celebrated Ms. Nimisha J. Vadakan, launched one of the pioneering fintech companies from Kerala. Hearty welcome on stage. A-Spare Fintech Services Private Limited amidst the COVID-19 pandemic and made a big splash and made big impact. Hearty welcome. And with that, I hand it over back to you, Mr. Anup Ambika. Do we have microphones? No. We need some microphones on stage. Yes.
Ardra, we need a mic in the audience for sure. Huh? Ardra, we need a mic in the audience for sure. We have that?
Right away or during the Q&A, sir?
Right away will be good.
Sure, we'll arrange that. Can we also have a microphone for the audience? Yes, thank you.
All right. So I guess we can start. Hello, everyone, again. Good afternoon. There has been this standard format in which a panel discussion is being done, wherein we all give a lot of gyan to everybody who's sitting here. We all speak among ourselves for the next 50 minutes and say that, oh, time has run out and now there is no time for questions. So I just want to change that format a little bit, which I have tried once in Thai Global. Not Thai Global, the Thai Summit in Cochin, which I thought worked well. So I want to try it out a little bit here and see if people actually respond to it or not. But I guess what people would want to hear is about each of you, right? What has been your journey? And let's start with the ladies. Suja, you might want to start about, a brief introduction, probably 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I know it's very difficult to explain that journey, but whatever you can in that 2 to 3 minutes, please.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. And, as is expected of an Anup Ambika session, we don't follow the rules. I think we bend it a little bit and become very creative. But I think, it's important to kind of set the, creative thoughts flowing. So I'm from Kerala, originally from Kerala, but most of my career has been outside of Kerala, in fact, outside of India. I started my, work life in North America. So, I kind of started in consulting and IT, although I was not trained in IT as an engineer. I ended up managing IT professionals and also advising them on outsourcing when outsourcing was at the peak. It has been a very interesting journey because one of the biggest things, I moved back to India around 10 years ago. And initially when I was moving, and I moved with a management consulting firm called KPMG, and initially when I was moving, I had these reservations around, how is it going to be? I'm used to a certain kind of work life and the kind of, interesting projects and things that are happening in a very well-developed market. But 10 years down the road, I think I have a very different opinion about India and Kerala. In fact, I now am the person who has been converted and who speak about the immense possibilities and the immense potential of our talent here. So I think I've been very grateful for the many opportunities, but I have been primarily in management consulting, led multiple million-dollar deals to manage those kind of deals with across sectors, and then had a little bit of a stint in government or quasi-government because worked in a organization called Invest India. I was one of the founding members of that organization where it was all about bringing in investment into the country and ensuring that it was, we are able to ground it. I was also part of the first ease of doing business ranking framework, working with the World Bank and DPIT, so that was very interesting. And I'm very happy that this year, the last year, after great efforts by this state, Kerala has been ranked as the top achiever. So that is pretty amazing journey. And then, over the last couple of years, around maybe just under 10 years, I moved from, consulting into industry. I was leading Nissan Digital Hub, which was the global innovation hub for Nissan Motor Corporation. We set it up in Trivandrum. We had around 500 plus great talent coming in from across India and also from Kerala. Like 40 to 50% were from Kerala and the rest from outside. And we had also another 500 or so vendor partners working with us. So that was fantastic, working with really brilliant professionals, creating and developing software to make our great new cars that Nissan was rolling into the market, including a Leaf and some of the newer models that you're very familiar with. And then, of course, I switched sides, and I'm now part of a Canadian organization, and we are owned by a private equity firm called Nordic Capital, who has invested in multiple companies in India. We have around 35 portfolio companies here. And what we do is we help banks modernize and transform. So we have a product and pricing platform, SaaS-based, and so it's interesting what Anish was saying, and we are living in interesting times, and we are rapidly embedding AI into not just our products and platform, but also in everything that we do, from operations, daily operations, to learning, to HR and all the other parts of the organization as well. So we are living in very interesting times, and I think, and that company is, by the way, called Zafin, and we have around 400 plus employees in India. So it's been a great journey.
Thank you, Suja. Thank you, and that is quite a tenure that you had as part of your career. One of the reasons why I wanted each of you to listen very carefully to them is probably I'm going to come back right after these introductions with question about what is it that you want to learn out of this panel. So just have a question in your mind about what is it that you would like to hear about, or what is it that you would like to learn about from this panel. With that, I'll go to John. John, I'm sorry, Nimisha, I'll come back after John. Ladies first and then second one. John, so why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, give us a little bit of a brief about your career. Now you're the Trade Commissioner, and right?
That's right. Thank you. And good afternoon, everyone. Namaskar. My name is John Southwell. I'm the Senior Trade and Investment Commissioner for the Australian Trade and Investment Commission, which is Australia's trade promotion and investment attraction body. It's in some ways a little bit like Invest India, but also with goods exports and services exports attached to it. So my career actually has come in from a very, very interesting way, because you can connect the dots going backwards, but not necessarily going forwards. So when I was just about to finish high school, I'd actually gone ahead in relation to information communications and technology. But then I went to study law, and then went on to a number of public policy roles within the Australian Public Service, and then found myself here in India, as a Trade Commissioner, and also doing a stint up in Delhi at the Australian High Commission, looking after food and beverage. And then in this role now, I now look after advanced manufacturing, IT, food, education, and also critical and enabling tech. So that's been quite an interesting journey. I won't bore you with all of the ins and outs for all of that, but I think it's been something which has been quite interesting, being a foreigner living in this place for the best part of 7 years, seeing how much India has risen during that period of time, despite the ravages of COVID, as well as how Australia has actually contributed to that, and is continuing that. The fact that we have 5 years of our comprehensive strategic partnership between Australia and India was actually signed virtually during 2020, during all of the lockdowns between the Honourable Prime Minister Modi and the then Prime Minister of Australia. And one of the pillars of that comprehensive strategic partnership was on tech, on cyber policy. And so I think that sometimes, as you say, sometimes you might not necessarily start out in your career thinking that you're going to be doing something that you're doing right now, and in fact, far from it. The irony is that, if I'd actually followed my high school, I probably would actually be in IT already. But it's something also that I'd like to just reflect as well on the title of this panel session, Startups and Innovation, is that I think we always need to be very mindful that sometimes startups and innovation doesn't actually really always have to involve these things. It's also about being entrepreneurial in your mind. It's actually being innovative in your mind. And actually sometimes a disruptor doesn't actually involve a single transistor. And so I think with that, the amount of innovation and also supporting of startups between Australia and India has grown significantly. The sky is the absolute limit, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here today.
Thank you. I think we'll come back to you about questions in terms of technology transfer, in terms of university incubators, etc. But thank you very much. Nimisha, Sam has really made me feel guilty about not giving you the second chance. So why don't you go ahead and let's give a big round of applause to Nimisha, because she is probably the youngest of the lot, and a company that they built, husband and wife together, and got acquired in 2000?
Last year, 2023.
23. So Nimisha, just give a little bit of a brief about what you did and your journey.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here in the panel with all these prominent panelists. And maybe, Anup sir, you might be knowing that if you give a storytelling chance to a startup, it will be a never-ending story always, because we are very professional in storytelling. So, my company is Ace Money, which is a fintech company based out of Cochin. We started Ace Money in 2020, which was during the peak pandemic time, where everybody was locked down at their home. And we started with a service called Doorstep Banking Service. The initial product was ATM to home. Like Swiggy or Zomato deliver food at your doorstep, we started with a service which delivers cash at your doorstep. So during the pandemic time, it was like nobody was able to go out. Even the ATM counters were the least sanitized places where everybody will keep away from. So what we did was we developed an application, and we made people to book for cash withdrawals through the application. And if a request comes to us, our executive goes to the doorstep of the customer and deliver money at their doorstep. So that was where we started in 2020. Initially, what we did was we hired our own employees in municipalities and corporations here. But later, as after the pandemic, actually, we understood that the need of this doorstep banking services is not majorly in urban areas, but it will do more good in rural areas where if you see that if we go to a rural place, the banks will be almost 5 to 10 kilometers away from their home. And if they want to do a banking service, say for example, they want to transfer some money to somebody, it is a half-day job for them. They have to go to the bank, fill the forms, and it is almost taking away their half-day. So that is where we went with Ace Money. And we identified local micro entrepreneurs who can actually help us with what we want to deliver to the localities. We identified local entrepreneurs like maybe kirana shops or supermarkets and enabled them to give these financial services using our platforms where either customers can walk into this kirana shop and do a transaction. You might have seen like in kirana shops there will be a board written ATM available here where there is no big ATM machines. It is actually micro ATM machine working there. So and also if the people need, this kirana shop owner itself will deliver the services at the doorstep of the customer. So that is basically what we do. We majorly focus on tier 3+ cities, core rural areas all over India. And yes, recently in 2023, we got acquired by a Chennai-based cash management company, Radiant Cash Management Services. They are basically into cash management and we are into digital space, and we saw that a strategic partnership between both will do well in the working in the hinterlands of India.
Thank you, Nimisha. So Anish, I'm going to skip you since there was enough introduction about you and you got a chance to speak. Now I come to Babu. Babu has been a serial entrepreneur, investor. He has been my investor in the company that I created. Quite a lot of history between both of us. Babu, why don't you just give a little bit of a brief about yourself and your journey?
Thank you, Anu. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Typically, what that means is you fail many times. So you could never. You fail once, you try again. I personally had 17 failures. So a lot of times I talk to startups, and they haven't failed many times. So I probably set the record for that. But along the journey, figured out a way to build a couple of companies. Stamps.com, built it in the garage, and became lucky. Actually, the company became a public company, and then decided to try my luck in financial services, and started a wealth management company. And I had no background in wealth management, but found an opportunity and decided to pursue that. And 20 years later, I retired from there, was a public company again. And I'm an engineer at heart, in a family of engineers. So my wife is an engineer. Both my kids are engineers as well, right? So love building stuff. That's all that gives you that real pleasure, right? The satisfaction of seeing something come to life. And that's what it's all about. By the way, how many engineers in the room? Not as much as I expected. So if you're an entrepreneur, right, all you do is create stuff out of thin air. You struggle early on, you try to create stuff that costs very little, right? And then continue to work on it, iterate on it. Somewhere along the way, you figure out your way, and there is so much to do in that process. I have been fortunate to go through that journey. So, two things: engineer, entrepreneur. Once an engineer, always an engineer. Once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur.
I agree. Thank you, Babu. Babu is being very modest here. I can tell you a story about how I just gave him a PowerPoint presentation and he wrote me a check of 2 crores to build LLMs. So that's the kind of investments that he's talking about. He always works on his gut, I believe. We'll talk a little bit about that also during the course of the time. But I want to introduce, so basically, we usually think that once a computer engineer, always a computer engineer, right? You have not seen many people who have been a computer engineer and then become a genomics expert. And that is a man who is sitting right next to me, that is Sam Santosh. In the first half of his career, I think he was more leaning towards writing software. And then he learned that genetics is the software of life. And then he started to learn genomics and genetics and built several companies around that. Sam, we are very eager to hear your story.
Thanks, Anup. It's always a pleasure sharing a stage with you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to come here and talk to you. The thanks to the organizers. Anup has already said so many good things, so I don't think I should add much about too much in the past. I'll just talk a little bit about the genomics journey, which is the last 15 years. I started a lab here in Kochi called KSIDC. The lab is still there in the Kakinad Special Economic Zone. And I started a DNA sequencing and bioinformatics facility. It's sort of the first one in India. But I saw it as an incubator. So I incubated over the next 12 years, I incubated 4 companies in that. The most well-known among them is MedGenome. MedGenome, AgriGenome, Saxon Life Sciences, and a company called MagGenome. So though I can't claim to join the Anish's club of a unicorn, all the 4 companies together got a valuation of over $1 billion. So I can say I'm sort of 1/4 as successful as Anish. The last 2-3 years back, I stepped off from all the companies. I got into the third innings. The software was the first, genomics was the second, and as a third innings, I am more trying to help other companies. So I still have the SciGenome lab. I'm incubating a company from the US who are creating new antibodies, engineered antibodies, for both the Indian pharma as well as global pharma. And I'm also helping an AI software company. Those are 2 business activities that I have. But my personal passion in the last couple of years or 3 years has been more to setting up the Kerala Genome Data Center. That is for the Kerala government. I'm leading that initiative of trying to get the value of Kerala's fantastic biodiversity, which is captured in the genomics of Kerala, flora, fauna, and humans, and the microbes. So we are trying to extract this data and put it up into a powerful data center with an AI front end and a high performance cluster as a back end, and which will enable many entrepreneurs like you as well as researchers to access data, create new algorithms, and create solutions which can be of great value to fields like synthetic biology, gene editing, even traditional healthcare, where the genomic information can be of a lot of use. And the other project that I'm doing is more a personal passion. I'm setting up a garden through the trust that we have called the SciGenome Research Foundation. I'm setting up a garden for botanical plants, mostly medicinal plants, but focusing on the plants covered in the old 17th century book called Hortus Malabaricus. Some of you might have heard of it who have been science students, but otherwise people might be surprised at that. It's a Dutch name. Hortus Malabaricus is a Latin name created by the Dutch. When they were ruling here for about 100 years. It means Garden of Malabar. So they were fascinated with the plants available in Kerala, and so they made this 12-volume book in Latin. A few years back, it was translated by Professor Manilal into English and Malayalam. 6,000 pages into English and Malayalam must have been a Herculean effort for him, but that enabled people like us to access that. So I thought we needed to have a garden for that. So the Hortus Malabaricus garden has been a 10-year effort, which just got inaugurated last month. So but still a lot of work there. So I'm trying to continue to build that up as a living biobank. So in addition to the genomic data that will be available, the plants also would be available, living, where people can come and access samples and do research and all that. So it's a non-profit initiative, so I welcome all of you who would be interested to learn more about plants or take up any of these plants and do research, or even just to propagate them. We are happy to give out saplings. Many of them are endangered, many of them are very difficult to get now. So it is all of, I think, our duty to make sure that our wealth, the Kerala's wealth is not lost. So we can all jointly, plant these trees and other plants across the state. So thank you very much, and I'm happy to take questions.
Yeah, we wouldn't take questions like that, but I would like to hear from the audience, and I'm hoping that there is somebody with a mic walking around. What is it that you would like to learn? You have an idea about what these people are, right? What have they done with their life? Is there anything that you would like to learn from them? Is there any questions that you would like to specifically ask? Yes, we can hear you. You can speak, yeah.
Yeah, today's topic is of innovation is one of the topic, vital topic. Vital topic is innovation. So innovation can happen only if there is a spectrum of hardware involvement. And India is focusing on a futuristic proposition, the hardware area. Policy has been regulated, cross-border regulations has happened. Now we are focusing on digital economy. The world is moving on knowledge economy and knowledge industry. I'm afraid to say only from Trade Commission from Australia, his portfolio depends, I heard something like that. So this hardware involvement, what policies, regulations, startup Kerala has?
Sir, can you also introduce yourself since you asked a question?
I am founding principal of PRI in India representing European Union.
Founding principle of?
Printed intelligence.
Britain intelligence, yes.
It's a trillion-dollar economy.
Billion-dollar economy.
Trillion-dollar economy.
Trillion-dollar economy.
You are using now in your mobile printed intelligence.
Okay.
Your display is a printed intelligence.
Right.
Electrode of your battery is a printed intelligence.
Right.
Anode of your battery is a printed intelligence. So what I mean to say, India is focusing on...
No, the question is very clear.
I'm coming to the question only.
Yeah.
So innovation, when you use the word innovation in a bold way, innovation can happen if there is a complementary component of hardware. All of the experts are from software side.
Right.
She's from Nissan Digital Economy.
Nimisha used to have
I'm not completing my question, sir.
Nimisha used to have a hardware. Just wanted to let you know.
Sir, we have advanced much in hardware. Defense is importing billions of hardware in sensors alone, which is PI. Health sector, PI.
No, but what is the question? What is the question?
Question is that what is the innovation focus Kerala under startup has in the hardware sector?
Right. We'll come to that.
We want to involve. We have created an SP with KSIDC. Now I would request as chief of startup to collaborate in that system, where government of India is very serious. The 2-3 ministers were speaking on
we'll come to that. We'll come to that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Yes, please. We have one. We'll take questions. Yes.
So my name is Yasin.
Can you be a little louder? I think there is something wrong with the sound system, but be a little louder, please.
Is it okay now?
I can't hear it.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir, my name is Yasin. I'm running a small food tech startup in Malappuram that we are processing fresh fruits and we are making it into a fresh juice concentrate that which can dilute into a fresh juice with all goodness of fruits like nutrients, minerals and aroma, even freshness we are locking. And now we are processing more than 20,000 kilo per day and we are doing a business of 25 crore per annum. My question is this, sir, to especially, sir is from Perindalmanna, I am also from Malappuram. For us, this is all simply a mystery, like venture capitalist, angel funding. They're all still a mystery to us. Like, from your experience, where do we find them? Like, what is it like to get an investment from these kinds of institutions? So we don't have any idea like that. So it's better if you can, from your experience.
So you were asking Anish how you could get investment around a food-related technology that you have developed or a food-related product that you have developed.
Yes, sir. And more than that, the information, I have tried to read many books. Like, if you can suggest anything like, that also would be helpful.
No, that's fine. We'll come to that. So basically, investment for food-related technologies is what you're
Yes. Yeah.
Next one, please. Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Ewout de Wit. I'm the Consul General of the Netherlands for South India. So first of all, thank you for bringing up Hortus Malabaricus. You say it's Dutch, but we say it's the first Indo-Dutch scientific publication ever. So happy to visit at one point your garden.
Round of applause for that, actually.
My question, I'm based out of Bangalore, the startup capital of India. What is it that can make Kerala special for startups and innovation? That's what I would like to know from some of the people. What do you think? Where does Kerala's strength lie? Thanks.
Thank you. So basically, I'll just reiterate the question so that I have it written down properly. So you're asking about what is it that Kerala can offer as opposed to a Bangalore. What are your specialities? What are your niche sectors? That is your question. Okay, thank you. Yeah, please go.
Good afternoon. I'm Pradeep Kumar M., freelance management systems consultant, technical auditor, and international trainer. My question is with respect to the startup movement. Of course, innovation is inbuilt. We find that while there are a number of startup companies which have taken over and are flourishing, but a small percentage, not very small, a particular percentage of the startups have vanished or disappeared. So wouldn't it be a good idea to conduct a root cause analysis, find out why they have not successfully gone ahead and why they had to close down? Because that sort of analysis will help newer entrepreneurs to come up. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, let me reiterate, sir, your question. Is that, can we do an analysis of why a startup did not become successful? What was the reason for a shutdown if that happened?
Why some of the startups?
Some of the startups, yeah, that's fine. So are we doing a postmortem analysis is what you're asking? If not, why? If so, then, how can it help? Good. Any other questions?
Hello, myself Jackson. I have a startup in agricultural sector. I have a product that can produce, that the trees can produce more oxygen, and photosynthesis system can increase. And one more thing is septage treatment technology in a very...
Sir, this is not a pitching session. You need to ask your question. What is it that you would like? Yeah.
Where I get to implement that for any testing or any facility. So I contacted so many institutions, research institutions. Nobody took that decision. Where I get the...
So you're looking for testing / regulatory or compliance facilities, validation facilities,
Yes.
which will help you to validate your technology. That is what that you're asking. Okay. Any other questions? Yes. I'll take that as a last question for now. I'll come back if there is more time, but we need to have some discussion on this.
Hi. So my question is, how is Kerala supporting the tech startups and products coming out from Kerala? And there are things like remote working and AI and everything, right? And can Kerala be a hub for that? And especially Workala, places is where Uber founder wrote the first line of code, right? So those things, how can we happen more of it? And events like these are very much needed for the branding purpose for the Kerala as well. And kudos to the event. And that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that is a question that I also had, is that there is a new revolution, an AI revolution that is happening in every sphere of business, and how do we get to that? How do we make use of that? So I think enough questions for now. We'll get into the discussion. I know that these are little tough questions. We can say that, but we can discuss about what is happening. The first one was about electronics / hardware startups, right? Or electronics / hardware focus of the startup ecosystem. No, we'll park that for now. So a few things that I want to say is, we have a facility called Make a Village. I don't know if Nambiar sir is here somewhere, but Mr. Madhavan Nambiar is here, the chairman of the Make a Village, which is the first hardware incubator out of the entire country of India. Okay? And there are 3 companies from Kerala which has actually got the PLI scheme. So there is a company called Netra Semi, which is an AI edge company. There is a company called Silicium Circuits, which has actually developed an indigenous chip. And then there is a company called Trois Infotech, which is based out of Trivandrum, which actually, I think, makes sensors or cameras or something like that. So there is a small hardware revolution that is happening in Kerala. Do we have a fab? Do we have investment into that sort of facilities? We don't have yet. I won't come to the question yet. But from a venture capital perspective, right? How is the startup scenario for the hardware startups? I'll ask Anish, I'll ask Babu also, but you being a serial entrepreneur. Babu, what is your take? Would a VC put money on a hardware startup? I'll tell you why startup scenario in India is staying away from hardware, please.
Yeah, hardware in general is tough, because it takes a lot of capital, right? So, for a investors in general are looking for less risky, they want to manage the risk, right? So when you raise a lot of money, and the software businesses in general gives you that ability to scale quickly, and so you can manage the risk better. But having said that, there are so many great hardware companies, like Intel, NVIDIA, the largest company in the world, right? So what I'm saying is, it is once you make it, it is difficult, right? But once you get through it, right? Now, so you have to persist, and if there is a product market fit, and if you are able to make progress, and it's that billion-dollar outcome.
Yeah, so I think generally that is the case. No, I'll come to you. Let's give the panel a chance to explain.
Sir, humble request. Only
John,
one.
no, sir.
One
I
suggestion,
took,
sir. One suggestion. Because
sir, I took your question.
People take it wrong. The hardware which I am talking is a basic tool for this AI, robotics, digital economy, anything. That is the hardware. Disruptive hardware, which the monopoly lies with Samsung, iPhone, Israel. There, I am sitting with those people. That's why I'm talking this language. So that India has a huge opportunity. We have the intellectual human capital. You are talking of conventional hardware, sir. Populated hardware.
No, actually there is a Center for Material Sciences. There is an Indian Institute of
Material Science.
Yeah, graphene. There is a Center for Material Sciences in Trichur. There is an Indian Institute of Graphene.
These are all theories, sir. Productivity, I'm telling.
2D materials are being researched on, sir. India, ever since our fab in Rajasthan got spoiled in the 1970s because of the quota scheme, China has taken over and India has lost that game. Now India is trying to catch up, and everybody is trying to catch up. There are fabs being set up, and slowly it will happen. It will happen. Anish, I know that you had John, do you know, like, how is the semiconductor/hardware scenario in Australia? I mean, you are a developed economy. I mean, how have you seen a lot of hardware manufacturing or innovations coming out of the country?
I think probably it's fair to say that over the last 20 or 30 years or so, Australia has certainly moved towards becoming a more services-based economy and also exporter of raw goods, and a lot of the manufacturing, etc., has gone to other places, including India for that matter. So something which the government has put in place is actually just, and I think it's probably a realisation because of all of the global shipping restrictions, etc., during COVID, was this thing called a future made in Australia. So basically not just organising to increase the processing offshore, but also making sure that there's onshore capability for very critical and enabling things, such as semiconductors and that sort of thing. So it's something which our government is very invested in. And I guess in a similar way, it's like Make in India. It's actually trying to create those sovereign capabilities to actually develop those things as well. Might I just also add that, I'm fairly sure that if I did a poll of the people in this room here, the majority of people would be using Wi-Fi at some point or another over the course of the next 24 hours. That's actually an Australian innovation. Wi-Fi. It was created by our Commonwealth Scientific Research Organisation. And so the idea behind that, was created in Australia. The hardware is actually made everywhere in terms of enabling Wi-Fi. So quite often, yes, there is the need for hardware factories everywhere, but quite often this stuff, startups and innovation, it's actually the ideas up here which are actually possibly most important sometimes.
All right, thank you. I think, we'll park that discussion. We'll get into the next one. Anish, I know that you have got a taste for D2C and food tech and all that stuff. So there was a specific question about how do you get investment for food technologies? Is it easy? Do you know anybody? I mean, I'm sure that you go through that ecosystem quite a lot. How does the food ecosystem in India look like? If I have a good product, will I be able to get funding?
So more than the food tech, I would say there is a good D2C ecosystem that last 3-4 years.
And let me ask you, how many of you know what D2C is? Okay, you might want to explain what D2C is.
So basically, D2C is brands which directly create a product and sell to the customers either through their own website or an Amazon distribution. It could be even a pickle being made at home, but you standardize and then you scale it up, or it could be like a home-based shampoo or a hair oil. And why I believe strongly in D2C is because in Kerala, in India, we have a lot of homepreneurs, mostly women who actually are experts in building, in making this, either clothing lines or beauty products, etc. And there is a good ecosystem to support it. So till around 3 years back, to invest specifically in D2C, there was a set of VC funds which is being set up, which doesn't operate like a typical VC way. So one is Menza Brands, and the other thing was the Thrasio model, wherein they would acquire your D2C company and then they would actually take it and own it, kind of a thing. Also, there are a lot of, you might have heard about a lot of this beauty and style care products wherein a lot of VCs have pumped in money. There is a lot of acquisitions that has actually happened. Very recently, Minimalist, which is again a beauty brand which got acquired by Hindustan Unilever for 2,000 crores. Now, I think the specific question from the fellow entrepreneur was, how do I reach out to these guys? How do I become, how do I actually get funding base? Whom do I reach out when I'm in a particular small town or, this thing, right? My answer is that if you are the most good-looking guy or girl in the class, then you don't need to be on the dating app. The people will actually come after you, right? So this is not only for D2C, for any segment. A lot of entrepreneurs ask, like, how do you raise money? Anish, how did you actually raise this thing? So can you introduce to some investor? I personally feel that introduction probably may work only on 5% or 10% cases. You should create your own story, your own evangelism story that investors should read about you or come to know about you and then reach out to you. There are enough D2C brands getting funded every month, but are you organically being reached out to your prospective investors? Getting the list of investors, etc., is something which you can always get it from the internet. But then the effort that is actually required, the storytelling, like the way you are trying to acquire your customers, again, investors is also another set or segment where you need to actually figure out ways to reach out. There are ways and mechanisms, obviously not in a panel that we're in, but there are investors and there are ways to actually reach out to that.
So I would also say that there is quite a lot of funds that are, you want to say something? Or?
Talking direct to consumer, there's a Keralite company, Fresh to Home. Yes. You know what they sell, right? Yeah. Fish. And growing phenomenally, right? So, and venture funded, right? So, again, if they've created a phenomenal story, they deliver a service, that they guarantee, right? That is fresh, right? And they are chased by investors.
Right.
I can maybe add a point. I want to fully agree with Anish, with my experience also on raising money. You have to get the money to come to you. So that is the most important part. If you are begging for money, it's very difficult to get the money. So the story that you make, the solution that you're able to project, and give the FOMO effect, the fear of missing out effect to the VCs. Because at the end of the day, they are also scared. They don't want to miss the really good ones. So how do you get to project your story as a good one, which they are at risk of missing out? If you do that, there's a very good chance. But the basics have to be filled out, that your company has to be viable, the story has to be sound good and be true to some extent and all that. In the genomics journey, for the 4 companies, I raised over $150 million from various institutional investors, HNIs, VC companies, and even from private equity. So it is a very good learning experience for me.
Anup, can I just add 10 seconds?
Absolutely.
So at least some learning, so probably which I can share, it may add value, right? So while building open or all of my startups, whether successful or not, one thing which I always focus is to get the story out through the media, because journalists likes writing stories about this. The first thing is to build relationship with the journalists. The first major funding I mentioned, like the Kerala Startup Mission, was instrumental in the first institutional investment round which we got it. Now the story behind that was when I raised the first angel fund from a set of angel investors who were my previous bosses working in my previous company, we created a press release, or the journalist in Economic Times wrote an article about it. After some months, one of the largest industrial groups in Japan, they happened to read about this story and they started approaching venture capitalists in India. Can we get connected to Open? This is actually the 7th largest business group in Japan called the Recruit Group. And they actually led that round basically. So a small PR article led to somebody reading about it. So that's where evangelism becomes just, so rather than talking high level, I just thought maybe sharing a real story may add.
So thanks to Roshan, Sam was just telling me that, Roshan, are you here? Roshan from Madhubhumi? Okay, he stepped out. He's one of the persons who have done a consistent job.
Encouraging Kerala
startups. Now, Suja, I'll come to you with 2 questions, right? One, this D2C ecosystem, has it led on a women-empowered entrepreneurship, right? Because the numbers that we are very shy about is the number of women-led startups that we have. Out of the 6,200 or 300 startups that we have, we only have, I think, 400 startups that is majority owned by women. How do we, empower these D2C startups, or any, for that matter, tech startups? What is it that we can do to empower women to get into the startup ecosystem and participate more actively in Kerala?
It's a great question. I'm glad you asked because, in Kerala and even nationally, I think the numbers are still around below 20, right? Maybe around 16 to 18%. One of the things I have always seen is it's not because there is a dearth of talent or there is a dearth of creative women. It is just that they are not getting probably the opportunities. KSUM has been actively, promoting, and, entrepreneurs like yourself, Nimisha, these are good success stories, right? Just like you sell your product, I think it's also important to talk about the opportunities, market about the possibilities, and what support a government or, institutions like yours provide for women entrepreneurs. The second bit is you have to also look at the social and cultural fabric of where we are from, right? In a lot of cases, whether it is entrepreneurial or whether, I have several, and we are like 36% of employees at Safin are women, and we have a big targets to even bring in more talented women, including women, perhaps I've seen, women who have taken a break because of various, maternity or extended maternity or taking care of their family members, come back and really rise up their career as well, right? So those kind of opportunities, I think, whether it's organizations or the government, have to provide such platforms. And from the social aspect, I think there is still, when it comes to women, there are certain perceptions and stereotypical, that conditioning, right? Which makes it even more difficult for women to come out. But what I see is there is a rise, as you were saying, Anish, in entrepreneurial, and women coming out as entrepreneurial through these kind of domestic, what we call domestic kind of like food or fashion, and really utilizing the potential of social media. Like for instance, the last time I walked into a store and bought something, I don't know when it was, because I usually shop online. And I find that on Instagram, there are so many different brands, people who are coming up with such creative ideas. And even from Kerala, I don't know, they may not be registered with but they are still active. So we need to provide opportunities, and we also need to condition the others in the family that, running a startup or an entrepreneurial venture is not easy.
Thank you. Thank you, Suja. I now want to pick your brain a little bit on the question that the Consul General asked, which is a very, very, very interesting question. What is it that Kerala can offer as a speciality, Nimisha? What is our specialty? I'll come to each of you with this question, because that is very important. Why do we... Bangalore is a very vibrant ecosystem. Personally, my thought is that Bangalore is a very vibrant ecosystem because Bangalore is a very vibrant, IT or industrial ecosystem also. There is a Pune, which is the industrial area. You have the Whitefields and the Hosurs and the Surjapurs, which is the IT corridors. And it was a natural offshoot of what was already there. But I think we are in our infancy stages. And how do we what are the specialty sectors that we could think about? What do you think, Divishan?
As far as our industry is concerned, it is a fintech industry. And when we started the company, and when I was telling about my company somewhere else, I mean, in the other states of the country, everybody had a doubt. Okay, fintech and Kerala doesn't match, because when we say the word fintech, always people have a thought that it should be either in Mumbai or in Bangalore, because obviously that is the fintech hubs. But in Kerala, do you think that a fintech business can be successful is the question which I always get. And that is why we wanted to prove that a fintech can be more successful in Kerala.
But I want to cut you out there. We are not asking whether fintech can succeed.
No.
Is fintech sector that you think Kerala can, excel in?
Yes, I mean, Kerala people always have an open mind to experiment things. That is the best quality which I see in the people in Kerala. Whenever we come up with a new innovation or a new product, and when we say about this to the people, they are ready to do the experiment. And they are ready to give us their feedbacks. And that is how usually startups grow, from the feedbacks. It can be a criticism, like more of they will tell what are your flaws first, and then we will more look into it. And again, we have a very inclusive ecosystem, because...
So fintech, you are sticking with fintech. You believe that fintech Kerala can do very well.
Yes.
To answer you, just to add to that, there is a city named Trichur, which is right next to Cochin, where probably the non-banking financial institutions or the microfinancing industry has flourished. So I personally believe that if you were to go with fintech, we then need to have the Muthoot and the Manappuram and all the Kurichitty funds of Trichur, help us do some solutions. So there is an opportunity for fintech. I always thought that it is in the microfinancing sector. But Babu, what are your thoughts?
I think, we are, when you think about Kerala, right, beauty, right, natural beauty, we want to maintain that. So that means that you don't want to go into industries that are polluting, right? So that is clear. Now, within that, we are great at healthcare, right? Healthcare is one of the largest industries out there. There is so much you can do. Even financial services, I would say, right? That is a large part of the economy, right? So, and you don't need a lot of hardware or other dependencies. And it's purely things, that you can read and learn, right? We are good at that. So then I'll come to things like space technology. It's sad that we are not far enough when so much capability is here, right here in the state, right, with BSSC here, right, and space technology is booming right now, right, but we don't have a strong play today. So there are possibilities, right, and then I would say nothing prevents us from taking a leadership role in AI, because again, we are great at math.
So financial services, healthcare, space technologies, and you're saying that the AI layer, we have a great opportunity that we can move forward with. Sam, I pretty much know your answer, but please, what is our strength, specialty sector?
I mean, Kerala is one of the most biodiverse places in the world. So there is no doubt to the value of the genetic data that Kerala has. I already spoke about the Kerala Genome Data Center. But still, though we have the initiatives like that, we still don't have the, maybe what the right word, maybe the guts or of the risk. Because just being first or just having some capabilities doesn't cut it in this world. I mean, even we talk about IT in Bangalore, but the first IT techno park in India came up in Kerala. But we had many other constraints and other problems and earlier bad or doubtful decisions made about not having enough engineering colleges here and all that made scalability in Kerala such a problem. So Kerala missed the boat in the last 20 years. And in the last maybe 10 years you're making up, but the previous 20 years we lost out. So we have a very good or very sad case that we might miss out on the genomic opportunity too. Unless the government moves fast, liberally allows genome sequencing of humans, and storage of human data. And the problem here is partly the media too. I mean, the hype of some small mistakes earlier, like the sprinkler case and things like that, has made the environment a little toxic, that as soon as you talk about data and sharing data, everybody gets very worried. But that is so unfortunate, because there are very clear standards for creating data and storing data and sharing data across the world. So it's nothing new. We have to sort of get out from our smaller myopic mindset and think about the larger possibilities that is happening across the world, and how do we fit in. So Kerala has the most valuable thing, like the way the Gulf countries had oil, we have the genomic data. So we have to make sure that that is extracted properly and provided out to the world. And adding to what Babu said, and that will ride very well on the healthcare system that we have. Kerala has one of the best primary healthcare systems in the world, right? And we have many other beautiful systems, like, things Kudumbashree. I mean, the Kudumbashree system that Kerala has, it should actually get a Nobel Prize. I mean, those are the foundational systems that Kerala has been able to build, a democratic, socialist, inclusive system that we have been able to build. But at the same time, some of the opportunities we have missed out. So I think we are very close to missing out the genomics opportunity.
And one of the opportunities that we missed out was electronics, because Kerala started the first electronics company, and yes, sure, absolutely. What's your outside view? What do you think Kerala is good at?
I'm going to probably answer this just slightly differently, in that how would I sell Kerala to Australian exporters and also those who are looking to set up businesses here? And there's probably three things. First of all, the diaspora in Australia. Malayali is actually one of the fastest growing languages in Australia. And Australia actually has 1 million strong people of Indian origin, but the fastest growing number of that is actually Malayali, which actually is a huge market in our terms. 1 million is not a very big number here, I know, but 1 million is huge to us. It's about 4%. Yeah. So that's the first one. The second one is the literacy rate here. It's about 96%. It's incredibly strong. And so that for us, I think, is a very attractive thing. And I think the third one is just simply the ease and the connectivity to many other places, including to the Middle East. Can I just reflect also, I want to also associate myself with the comments about the growth and the rise of females in the workplace, and including on this panel. The young lady who's been supporting me over the last day or so here in Kochi, she has a degree in physics and computing and is studying her MBA. And also I read just earlier on that there are the number of females at high school outnumber males very strongly. And so you can actually see there's that demographic dividend. So I'm going to give you 4. There's that demographic dividend that is coming through as well, of a very highly educated group of people, incredibly literate, and also from a gender diversity point of view as well. And I think that really should be celebrated.
These are all selling points. Thank you. And we are trying very hard to sell these points to the rest of the world. But Ardra here tells me that I've got only 5 minutes. Probably I'll take 5 more. But I really, really want to touch upon this last topic. There are 2 questions that I'm going to leave out right now. One is about the testing and validation facilities, which I can talk about a little later, offline, and about the survey that we might want to conduct if startup becomes not successful, or a part of startup that doesn't become successful, then what do we do about it? That is a question that I would take offline. But I really want to touch upon Felix's question about there is a disruption that is happening right now, right? AI, we all thought that was going to be dominated by companies in America. Suddenly there is a DeepSeek that has come in and open sourced and democratized, and now we have like new models coming up every single day. And we know for a fact that there is a window of opportunity of agentic AI that exists probably for the next 2 years or so. How do, and this is the last question to each one of you, so take a minute and answer this. How do we make use of that opportunity? What should we do?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned earlier, every SaaS model is getting disrupted. Every accounting software, there is an equivalent of a vertical AI-based agentic solution which can actually...
Anish, let me ask you this question. So I have a SaaS application. Wouldn't, as a company, now I would do it, right? I would transform myself into an AI app. So a Zoho is not going to come to Anup for doing that, right? So the companies itself will transform into AI. So where is the opportunity?
So the opportunity is that probably Soho is one of the tools that you use. You use a Gmail, you use another software for advertising. Now this particular vertical AI basically tool could be the one which could actually look for a bill in your Gmail, say, update that on Zoho,
So
go to the GST.
like small plugins that you can develop.
It's
with.
not actually plugins. Some of them are billion-dollar companies like Glean, etc. So there are newer companies which will integrate and automate repetitive tasks and do agentic actions for any industry, basically. It can be for
Thank
healthcare.
you. Adra is giving me this harsh look, so I'll just quickly pass through. Suja.
One of the things we talked about was the demographic dividend and the talent pool, right? Very critical in AI is the speed at which you're going to upskill yourself, because I believe everyone, irrespective of whether you're in a company, startup, or in school, you need to start using it, understanding it more, and bringing it back into your curriculum. Because at the end of the day, the speed at which companies, like even ours or any other company, whether it's a startup or not, is absorbing it and embedding it, and it's in your day-to-day life.
Thank you, Suja. Point taken. I think we need to have an AI literacy campaign that goes across multiple sectors of the society. Nimisha?
I think the use of AI in data will do wonders in future. So data is the backup of every business, and that is where we will have to smartly use AI to boost our business.
I think that is the most valid point. I don't think India is storing enough data to make custom models which will fit to the demographics of India. So we need to now use the AI mechanisms that are there to create data centers on which we'll be able to create custom models. And I personally believe that that's going to be a huge opportunity. John, again from a...
Globally, we need to be incredibly agile from a governance and policy perspective to make sure that there are appropriate laneways in place to enable AI to flourish, to become better and for people to become literate in it, etc. But equally making sure that it is not used for purposes for which it should not. I guess with that great power becomes great responsibility, and actually making sure that governments have that framework
brilliant
in
point.
place.
While the innovators or the technologists start, throwing out solutions, on the other side, parallelly, policymakers need to start thinking about how do you regulate AI and make sure that there is ethical usage of AI and things like that, and that will only create an ecosystem for the AI to flourish. But
Can I just a clarification? I'm not talking about regulation for regulation's sake. It's actually to make sure that things are in place to make sure that there isn't a breakdown in society.
Absolutely.
That type.
Absolutely. Babu.
So when you talk about AI agents, right now, it's a combination of deep vertical knowledge, right? Now, see, every human is going to be a superhero, right? Because underlying AI capability is going to make you become superheroes. To make that happen and to play in that game, what you really need is go deep. There is quite a bit of craftsmanship that goes into building great products, right? You don't need to you don't need foundational models. That is available as utility, but you need to take advantage of building capability on top of it, and that we have the ability to do that. We just need to find those opportunities and go and do it.
We can just the same things, data and enabling AI enablement.
I always thought Sam would say, biology and AI is going to come together and create superhumans, because that is going to be one synergy that is going to happen. I mean, we have got a computational synthetic biology center that is getting set up in Cochin University of Science and Technology in association with Synthite. We were just saying that the most amount of funding is coming into anti-aging right now. Most of the billionaires are writing a check so that they could stay young and make use of their money, right? So I think it is interesting times. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being in this panel. And sharing these great insights. I hope the panel was of a little use, at least to everybody who was sitting and listening to us. Thank you very much.
On that note, I'd also like to request Sri Anup Ambika to present a token of our appreciation to all the panelists and our keynote speaker on stage, starting with Sri Anish Achyutan, co-founder and CEO of Open Financial Technologies, who delivered the keynote address in this session about nurturing the future of startups and innovation. Can we have the... Yes, Sri Anup Ambika will present the memento. That's Anish Achyutan. Ms. Suja Chandi, Chief Sustainability Officer of Zafin Global and Managing Director of Zafin India. Ms. Nimisha J. Vadakan, Managing Director of Radiant Ace Money. Mr. John Southwell, Senior Trade and Investment Commissioner from Australia. Mr. Babu Shivadasan, Chief Executive Officer, Jiffy.ai. And Sri Sam Santosh, Managing Trustee of Sci Genome Research Foundation. And to present a token of our appreciation to Sri Anup Ambika, I'd like to bring on stage Ms. Ambali CN, Assistant General Manager with KSIDC. Thank you, sir, for shuffling the format around a bit and accommodating the maximum number of questions. That really benefited the session. And may I also request all of you to step up for a group photograph. Ambali ma'am, please stay. All of you, please step up for a group photograph. Thank you.